The Oblivion remaster hit us all like a semi to the face, and I'm all for it. I made a video of the original a few months ago, but why stop there? This time I travel to the realm of madness. I meet a god, fight a god, and then become one. Well, sort of. This is my journey through saving the plane of Oblivion known as the Shivering Isles. I'm back at my castle after the world-ending shenanigans, and I am ready for the next adventure. I get a report of a strange door that mysteriously opened up on the Niben Bay near Breville, and that sounds like the logical next destination. I set off towards the lake, grab my sea walking amulet, and make a break for it. Where I come up on this weird door that seems to be spitting out people every now and again, and they don't seem all there after their little adventure.
You can't make me go back! I'll kill you all!
It doesn't seem like a very good idea to pass through, so yeah, maybe not.
Really? Do come in!
Okay, I'm convinced. I met this absolute gentleman called Haskell, and I'm either back in therapy or this is a job interview.
Do sit down.
Either way, I'm not happy. He tells me that he is the Chamberlain of the Lord Sheogorath, the Mad God, the Lord of the Never There, and the Deadric Prince of Madness. And behind that door is his realm, the Shivering Isles. Can I just say how breathtakingly beautiful this game is? I am absolutely in love with the remake. Thanks, Bethesda. You still suck eggs though. I make my way down the road of this strange new world, taking in the scenery. It isn't like anything I've seen back in Cyrodiil, and I eventually wind up in a small village called Passwall. I meet Sheldon, the self-appointed mayor, and probably the sharpest dresser I've ever seen, and he tells me that this is a place for those unworthy of entering the realm of madness. How to prove yourself worthy? Oh yeah, just cut the keys out of the body of this 8-foot-tall demon of a gatekeeper. He is apparently about to test the worthiness of some unfortunate adventurers, and Sheldon invites me to spectate the ordeal with one of his mates. How could I refuse? Whoa. That might be difficult to get past. What do you... While heading back to Passwall, Sheldon's buddy tells me that there's a hunter in town who plans to kill the gatekeeper. Might be worth it to team up with this mysterious madman, but it's getting late, so I head towards the tavern and chat with some of the locals.
Hello.
Including a woman called Relmina, who apparently birthed the gatekeeper.
It was a painful and bloody birth.
Ma'am, I have so many questions. Before calling it a night, I saw Relmina sneak out at midnight, so I followed her back to the gatekeeper, where I overhear their conversation and found out that her tears heard it, and yeah, that tracks. Being the opportunist I am, I nabbed her handkerchief drenched in tears for later use and went looking for my future partner in crime. I meet Oblivion He-Man that seems way too obsessed with bones, but I need this man to charge a demon with me, so ethical viewpoints really aren't top priority. He tells me to collect the bones of the gatekeeper's dead siblings, because we're going to shoot him with it. And you know what? Desperate times. With our tear-drenched bone arrows, we set off to fight the gatekeeper. And I get the honor of removing the keys myself. Thanks, bro. I extract the keys from the gatekeeper's corpse, and Haskell appears again, telling me about the two doors leading into the realm. One leading to the lands of Mania, and the other to Dementia. Mania sounds a little bit more my speed, so I choose that door and went through. Mania is this vibrant and colorful realm filled with bright plants and interesting creatures, though its inhabitants are, how can I put this gently, just a few fries short of a Happy Meal.
The walls, they aren't safe.
The fork for Big Head.
The lands stretch up to its capital, known as Bliss, and it definitely fits the vibe. The opposite lands, known as Dementia, reflect a darker side, trading in the vibrant yellows for a sickly bluish hue. Roots tangle through the roads, and the constant rain turned the lands into a swampy marshland. The capital of Dementia is known as Crucible, accurately reflecting the doom and gloom, and the residents seem tortured. The two side-by-side capitals lie in front of the Palace District, and even within, creates a distinct divide between the two. And I finally come face to face with the Prince of Madness himself, Lord Sheogorath.
A new arrival! I'm so happy I could just tear out your intestines and strangle you with them!
This is straight up just the coolest character in Oblivion. He tells me that he needs a new champion, and killing the Guardian puts me on the shortlist, and oh okay, this was an interview. He mentions that something called the Greymarch is on its way, and it's an event I need to ultimately put a stop to. Although it's not something he wants to elaborate too much on, at least for now. No, for now he needs me to run an errand like the good intern I am. After killing the Guardian, the realm needs a new immigration office, and he just so happens to have one lying around, called Zadillion. It fell into disrepair due to the Guardian, and I need to reactivate its power source.
Now, get going, before I change my mind. Or my mind changes me.
So I set off towards Zadillion. I need to find 3 focus crystals scattered throughout the dungeon, and then return them to their original places. It's infested with grummites, but after casting a weakness to fire spell and then charring them with my fire enchanted sword, they really don't pose a challenge at this point. Some of them use these focus crystals and turn them into weapons, and look who's being innovative. I will have your head for that. After completely clearing the dungeon and returning the focus crystals, all that was left was to attune the resonator and flipping on the power switch. Zadillion was once again up and running. I met the caretaker and he took me on a tour of the facility. The main purpose of which was to either kill unwanted guests or drive them insane, thus making them welcome in the Isles.
What's wrong with Lewin?
It makes no sense. Should be dead. But what? Who?
After having the honor of witnessing the inner operations, it was time to report back to Sheogorath. But on my way out, crystals suddenly started sprouting from the ground, and we got attacked by mysterious knights.
That was quite a battle.
While entering the palace districts, I noticed the same massive crystals in the courtyard. Foreshadowing. Sheogorath doesn't seem too surprised by the attack, and he tells me that the knights belong to the Deadric Prince of Order, known as Jiggalag.
The Deadric Prince of Order. Or biscuits.
And for obvious reasons, he's not the biggest fan of the God of Madness. Once every couple million years, he invades and destroys the Shivering Isles in a apocalyptic event known as the Greymarch, and of course I need to stop it. But no rush. First, Sheogorath wants me to get to know his mates, so he wants me to introduce myself to the rulers of both Bliss and Crucible. I start with Bliss and meet the Duke of Mania in his garden, and just look at that crown. That is envy manifest.
Look at you. You're light as a chair. How do you walk around like that?
The man makes as much sense as a screen door on a submarine, so I'll just simplify. He needs me to recover a cup called the Chalice of Reversal. It somehow helps you beat addiction, and he needs it because he needs to kick his drug of choice, spicy evenings with the Duchess of Crucible. Hey, we listen and we don't judge. I need to travel to a place called Dunroot Burrow, but the only way to gain entry is to snort a substance known as Feldew, which is also coincidentally highly addictive. I like to party, so I start making my way there. But I get interrupted by a man with a pathological fear of walls falling on him while he sleeps.
The walls, they aren't safe.
So he needs me to convince a homeless person to abandon their sleeping bag in the dirt to sleep in a nice fancy bed so that this man can sleep on the streets, away from walls. I met another character that likes forks.
The fork for Big Head. Oh, where has Master put the fork?
He very unfortunately lost his special fork and needs me to retrieve it. And only someone that is completely incoherent will know where to find it.
I'll crack the Findu. I will. You terra-tedded.
Luckily, he gave me a different fork that would allow me to understand this scrambled person. And bro, at this stage, I just flat out stopped asking questions. Like, sure man, give me the fork, I'll go find your special fork.
Fribble. Wait. You can understand me?
Yeah man, listen, I'm here about a fork.
Last I heard, some heretics had gotten hold of the item in question.
What am I doing with my life? Stealing people's forks? Rude. Give me that.
You bring the fork. Happy day. Big Head names you friend.
Oh, I met a friend. I like Big Head. He taught me the fundamentals of sword usage to increase my blade level, because that's just what friends do. And next I went over to a random beggar, and for some reason he just didn't trust me enough to give up his street life for a comfy bed. So I had to, and I'm not making this up, bribe the man to sleep in a nice bed.
Excellent. What a thoughtful gift. Sure, fine. Tired of sleeping outside?
With that done, I gave Amiable the good news, and the man was happy as a clam. So he gave me a spell that could help in the event if a wall should ever fall on me. Worth. I think it's finally time to go retrieve the chalice for the Duke, so I set off for Dunroot Burrow. Upon my arrival, I find the suspicious substance that I'm supposed to ingest, and I inhale it without question, after which the burrow opened itself up for me. I started exploring, finding more Faldu on the slain Elytra. Good thing too, because the withdrawal came pretty quick. So I needed to keep myself topped up pretty consistently before my health bar started draining. Fight, snort and repeat all the way down the burrow. Until I reach a ruin filled with tweakers that, let's just say, weren't the most threatening. I simply shove them aside and take their chalice, and then slaughter them for good measure. Luckily, the chalice removed any side effects from the withdrawal, so I could deliver it to the Duke. Outside, I found a massive crystal obelisk, spawning more Knights of Order, that I could deactivate by placing enough of their hearts into, and cleaning up the rest. I deliver the chalice to the Duke, and hopefully he can kick his bad habits too. Speaking of which, I went to go visit the aforementioned bad habit next, the Duchess of Dementia. She seemed a bit suspicious about the people surrounding her, so she instantly made a stranger her Grand Inquisitor, tasked with finding anyone conspiring against her, even giving me my own personal torturer called Herder. I instantly took to my new role and flooded the streets of Crucible like a witch hunter who needs to reach a quota. You are hiding enemies of the state, are you not?
I don't know anything about a conspiracy.
I don't believe you.
Please, no!
Herder, Thunderbolt. I went on to torture every poor soul of Crucible. While prowling the streets looking for my next victim, Ushnar said that he wanted Bisha gone. Bisha is a dog lover, so I was able to convince him to go look for dogs in Bliss.
I wonder if there are nice dogs in Bliss.
To thank me, Ushnar gave me one of his dogs. So if you're ever wondering why there is a demon dog zombie following me, now you know. I'm gonna call you Butch. I kept going until I could finally see the fruits of my labor.
No more. No more.
We have a lead, taking us to one of the Duchess's very own courtiers, who were persuaded to divulge her co-conspirators. So I follow one of them and find out that the Duchess's personal guard is also involved. Goes to show, just because you're paranoid does not mean that you're wrong. I confronted him about this plot, and he instantly folded like an origami piece in a typhoon. Apparently, the reason they are plotting against her is because of her affair with the Duke of Mania. He also promises to find the name of the mastermind behind it all if I could give him some time. So I gave him 24 hours, but upon my return found him murdered. Luckily, he hid a note naming the mastermind, Maureen, the first person I questioned. He also left an incriminating weapon that would seal the deal. I took my evidence to the Duchess, and she is pleased with my work.
You've confessed to attempting to kill me, I understand.
The penalty for this treachery is death, and is to be carried out immediately.
With that done, I have completed my next task for Sheogorath, and he shares more of his plan. If I were to break the cycle of the Greymarch, I would be appointed the new Mad God, a new Sheogorath.
Or you'll die trying.
He will apparently be sitting this one out, so someone needs to stand up to the God of Order, and that seems like some pretty big shoes to fill. He gives me my next task. I need to reignite the Flame of Agnon at the Temple of Cylon. Apparently his minions are fighting over it, and I need to sort of deal with that as well. Mania and Dementia each have their own Deadric guards, called the Golden Saints and the Dark Seducers respectively, and they are kinda competing for Daddy's love. I'm not really sure what I can do about it, but whatever. Let's head out. Good day, sir. Why so aggressive? Hey, whoa, calm down. Aw, Budge. That was unnecessary, guys. Anyways, I eventually reach Cylon and have a chat with both sides, each owning an altar inside the temple while desiring the others. Only when one side owns both can they reignite the flame, so I guess I have to support a side and get this done. I chat with the Golden Saints and they're on the verge of attacking to take the other's altar by force.
My scouts reported no signs of the Baskin in the Underdeep.
While the Dark Seducers are getting ready to set up fortifications for the upcoming attack on their altar.
Begone, mortal.
I choose the Golden Saints because they kind of remind me of that golden chick on Guardians of the Galaxy, and no one can fault my logic. So I scout out an undefended underpassage and instruct them to take that route in order to bypass the Seducers' defenses.
Are all males so obstinate? Very well, we'll risk it. The Underdeep it is.
I joined them in the attack and it was an absolute slaughter. We had a final assault near the altar and successfully took it for the Golden Saints. Upon which the leader needed to sacrifice herself to light both the altars and finally the flame itself. With that done, the Flame of Agnon was once again lit. Not really sure what was the point of this, but again, I stopped asking questions a long time ago. I yoinked the flame and started heading back towards the palace, but only after deactivating another obelisk of order. I take the flame to a church of some kind known as the Asylum of Ardent Soul, with altars favoring either city, and I need to choose who to favor by lighting said altar with the Flame of Agnon. Seeing as I already favored the Golden Saints, it just makes sense to choose the Mania side. I am rewarded with some more drip and the gratitude of the city.
You chose well.
Sheogorath then thanks me and reiterates that one day I will be taking up the mantle of Prince of Madness, but baby steps. First I need to control one of the courts of madness through supplanting either the Duke of Bliss or the Duchess of Crucible, in order to command enough respect that my subjects will accept my inevitable rule as the Mad God. I need to speak to the high priests of both courts to find out what needs to be done, and upon returning to this asylum, they redecorate it to reflect my choice in favoring Mania. So I started speaking to the priests to find out about the various rituals. When the leader of Bliss decides on a successor, they will hold the ritual of accession, and it really just boils down to partying until your heart literally explodes. The substance known as Greymarch, when taken in moderation, gives a feeling of euphoria, but if too much is consumed, then the aforementioned explosion. The successor then gathers the blood of his predecessor and brings it to the altar in this asylum. On the opposite side, the ritual of accession for Crucible is a tad less voluntary, but a lot less complicated. The current leader's heart needs to be carved out and brought to this asylum. And now you kinda understand the Duchess's paranoia. You already know that I'm after the Duke's crown, so the choice is easy. Although somehow I doubt he would voluntarily blow up his own chest, so I guess we'll just have to make that choice on his behalf. I speak to one of the Duke's courtiers and find out that the Mad Lad loves to partake in a splash of Greymarch at dinner. She is understandably a little bit reluctant to tell me where he keeps his stash, so I guess I'll just have to follow her. I find the entrance and sneak past the guards to find the absolute motherlode. Whoa. Charlie Sheen's bedroom. I grab a couple doses, and then a couple more for some self-indulgence, and head towards the kitchens, where I spike the poor man's drink, and then just sat back to watch the show.
Eyes as blue as a cerulean sea. What? My heart. Can't breathe. Help me.
Idiots, help your king!
Move away!
Afterwards, everyone seemed fine with what just transpired, so I guess that's that. I grab my new crown along with a vial of his blood and head over to the Cecellum to complete the ritual. Looks a little bit more formal, so let me get my threads. Oh yeah. I guess that's it, right?
You've done it! The ritual is complete, and you've survived!
It was at this moment that the Duchess of Crucible stormed in, and she was not excited to learn that her squeeze got slaughtered.
Thaden? Dead? You've done this!
She also said that the Fringe was already lost to Order while we were busy offing dukes. She then proclaimed that she intends to defect, but surprisingly, Sheogorath let her go. We have a bigger fish to fry and lands to reclaim.
The Greymarch has swept the Fringe. Order gathers its forces there as we speak.
Where's my crown? Oh yeah. So I set off towards the Fringe that was recently lost to the forces of Order. By the way, that's the area where those unworthy of entering the Isles are relaxing, and upon my arrival I find it in an absolute state. I reach Passwall, where the Golden Saints are mounting a defense against wave after wave of Knights of the Order. It seems that the abandoned tower, known as Zedefen near town, is the source of these attacks. So when things calmed down, I entered to see if anything could be done. It was completely overrun, so I fought my way down the ruins. Oof. Tough day. I eventually came up on a chamber that seemed to be the source of their power, and then immediately ran into Sheldon as well.
It's you.
I told him to stick close, and together we'll get out of here. We overloaded the massive obelisk like I've been doing to the smaller ones throughout the Isles, and that eventually shut the thing off. But the tower around us started crumbling, so we made a break for it. We got separated at one point, but eventually made it out together. With the tower destroyed, the attack seemed to subside, and Passwall would be safe for now. I returned to Sheogorath to report on the situation, but he agreed that this would only be a temporary solution. So we came up with the brilliant idea to create a new gatekeeper, and sent me to go find Wilmina.
Oh, she'd do anything for me, that little minx.
You guys need to calm down. When I found Wilmina in her lair, she was less than enthusiastic, seeing that I, killed her previous child. But a little sweet talk never hurt anyone.
Yes, powerful magic indeed. It is proper that you bid me kindly, lest I show you the meaning of pain and suffering.
She sent me to the Gardens of Flesh and Bone to go find 4 magical components needed for the ceremony. She needs blood liqueur, osseous marrow, dermis membrane, and finally essence of breath. With the components in hand, I return to Relmina, and I have the honor of choosing the body parts.
All that remains is to choose the body parts.
That's really nice. Okay, let's see what we have. Fire shielding, shock, frost, arm of chopping. Okay, so it looks like you have a choice between magic and a physical build. I'm gonna grab legs of nimbleness and try and make a beefy boy. I don't think this really matters. So probably fire, I guess. Definitely arm of slashing. Breast of Life. Ooh, wound sharing seems pretty good. Helm of Power looks cooler. I think Angry Mind. With my selection made, we set off to birth the new gatekeeper.
Shall we start the ceremony? First, place the gatekeeper's body into the cistern of substantiation. Thou shalt be the holy in this temple. I bind thee, Atronach, to this body. Henceforth, gatekeeper of the Shivering Isles.
Yeah, get him. With the fringe now properly secured, I can return for my next errand. No rest for the wicked though. As I was delivering my report, a dark seducer showed up, saying that their stronghold known as Pinnacle Rock was attacked and overwhelmed. I asked Sheogorath why Jigalag hasn't attacked himself yet, and then the final puzzle piece is revealed. Sheogorath is Jigalag. Eons ago, Jigalag was once the most powerful of the Deadric princes, so much so that the rest of the princes started to fear him and subsequently started a plot to curse the Prince of Order, forcing him to become the Mad God. But once every era, he becomes himself and instinctively destroys the realm. Once the forces of Order succeeded in destroying everything, Desi reverted back to becoming Sheogorath and forced to rebuild everything he himself destroyed. It is said that Ceylon was once where the capital stood in a previous iteration. With the history lesson over, we need to head towards Pinnacle Rock and help out the Dark Seducers. And upon my arrival, I learned that Syl, the previous Duchess of Crucible, led the forces here and imprisoned the commander, so freeing her would be the priority. We enter Pinnacle Rock and storm the halls, fighting our way towards the commander.
For the Mad God!
And after successfully rescuing her, she tells us that their original target is the wellspring of the Mazgan. It is the lifeblood of the Dark Seducers, their link to this realm, and if the water should stop flowing and the link severed, they would be completely annihilated. But as soon as we set off towards the spring...
No, the wellspring.
It would seem that the Order has reached the wellspring, so I'll have to continue on my own. And upon arriving, I find it completely covered in crystals. I clear the area and ring the 4 chimes in order to shatter the crystals around the well. And that restores the Dark Seducer's link to this realm.
The wellspring is restored.
The commander gifts me a set of Dark Seducer armor as a thank you, and you know what? I'm just not feeling it. I wanted to report back to Sheogorath, but he doesn't seem like himself.
Time is an artificial construct, an arbitrary system based on the idea that events occur in a linear direction at all times.
He then says that we have run out of time, the plan failed, and the Greymarch is upon us. It was his intention to give me his staff, the symbol of his office, but all of his power has faded from it.
Hope is dead. I am dead. The realm. The realm is dead! All shall crumble before Jigalag!
He is gone, but hope is not lost.
Haskell then tells me that there is still a chance. We need to reconstruct the staff of Sheogorath in order for me to sit on the throne when Jigalag storms the castle. He tells me to visit the last being alive with any knowledge on how to craft such a powerful artifact in the library at Knife Point Hollow.
The library is a thing of order, and it will still serve that end.
There is no time to waste, so I immediately set off towards this supposed library. When I arrive, I touch the door only to watch it crumble in front of me. I find no books or scrolls, only a man staring at me. This is the last surviving remnant of Jigalag before the curse.
I have been waiting for you, Your Grace.
He was once the keeper of his great library, containing all the knowledge of creation. When Sheogorath learned of the library, he burnt it to the ground, but could never bring himself to kill the keeper. Instead, he imprisoned him here for eternity.
My imprisonment is as meaningless as my immortality.
He agrees to help me build the staff, but would need 2 artifacts to do it. The first item needed is the eye of someone who has witnessed a Greymarch and lived to tell the tale. There is only one such being in the Isles, a woman called Sirta, the leader of the cult known as the Apostles, who seeks the throne of madness for herself. The next item is a branch from the root of one of the oldest trees in the Isles, called the Tree of Shades. For someone that represents order, you seem pretty crazy to me, sir. I set off to find a branch from the Tree of Shades first, and I really didn't have to search far to find it. Although the tree did want to test me, so it straight up just sent a copy of myself to fight. Same spells, weapons and stats. Luckily, it didn't choose to use his version of Goldbrand along with the weakness to fire spell, otherwise I think I would have been in trouble. I spent some time wrestling with myself, and after my victory, I was allowed to grab a branch. Next I was looking for the cult leader, and I found their hideout pretty easily. I met this guy who had intentions to betray Sirta and lead the cult himself, and offered to kill her if I could provide him and his co-conspirators with some weapons. Now, I don't know if you know me, but I think I can handle it. Oh, that's... Oh, excuse me. I'm just gonna squeeze through here. Hang in there. I meet Sirta, the only person who ever survived a Greymarch, although I have absolutely no idea how, and it doesn't seem like she does either. I casually inform her that I came for her eyes, and shockingly, she wasn't too keen on handing them over. Not that I was asking or anything. I took what I came for and returned to the Keeper.
Sirta has fallen into darkness. Rakeran will lead the apostles to the light.
Yeah, good luck with that. The Keeper then very easily created the staff for me, but I am not done. The final thing needed to do is to soak the staff in the Font of Madness located behind the throne, but when I try, nothing happens. It would seem that the Order has infiltrated the core of the Isles and has tainted the very source of madness. The pools of mania and dementia that feed the tree were poisoned. I will need to enter the fountainhead beneath the tree and find the source of this poison. I move through finding pockets of crystals and start clearing the minor pools one by one, until finding the source of the corruption. First cleansing the pools of mania and finally the pools of dementia as well, where I found the traitor Syl, the previous Duchess of Crucible, leading the charge.
See the truth of my own situation.
Ma'am, please. I'm just gonna... I have successfully cleansed the pools of madness and can now return to imbue the staff. I immerse the staff and the power of Sheogorath flows through it, but before trying it out, a full-on siege on the palace district. It's now or never. I order the Golden Saints to charge at them and I join in the defense. I start overloading the 2 crystals in the courtyard. That should at least hinder the siege. But upon deactivating the last one,
you hold this man, but you are no Deadric Prince. Order shall reign.
upon defeating Jiggalag, he returns in a corporeal form to formally admit defeat, but also to inform me that I have broken his curse. He is once again free to roam the plains of Oblivion.
You now hold the mantle of madness, and Jiggalag is free to roam the voids of Oblivion once more.
And so I stand victorious. I have defeated a god and have taken my rightful place on the throne of madness. Am I a god I don't know, but I can control the weather, so there's always that. The Shivering Isles are mine to rule, but this isn't the end of my story. Until next time. Thank you so much for watching this video, and if you made it to the end, I freaking love you. And as always, I will catch you in the next one. Cheers.